Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video, looking at the JMA seasonal model for today's video. So this update is going to be taking us from next month, from August through to October 2023, and we're going to have a look at what the JMA seasonal model is forecasting for the next 3 months. I'll get on that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video release today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also released the European Outlook, detailed look at weather for the next week to 10 days. I've got a 10 to 14 day coming up for you later on this afternoon as well. Please like, share and subscribe on all of today's videos, and thank you so much everybody for doing that. So we will be releasing the second autumn 2023 season model roundup on Saturday. We're going to get something like 13 or 14 long-range models together from the world's leading forecast centre to see what they're all showing for the autumn of 2023 for only the second time this season. That'll be at 10 AM on Saturday morning, and the JMA season model will form part of that update. But this one, you can get lots of information from it. So we always like to take this one, isolate it out on its own terms, and see what it's showing. So that's what we're going to do for this one. We don't have time to look at it in depth when we've got all of those other models to go through in the roundup. Right, so we're going to start off with the month one 500 millibar height anomaly for August, from the Arctic and North Pole view down. So of course we've got the North Pole just here, and wider Arctic circle around there, and then mid-latitudes through here. So blue is extrapolating to below average heights, which is low pressure. Yellow, orange and red to above average heights, which is high pressure. We don't really see much blue on this map, but we can see that we have got blocking here being predicted in August within the North latitude. So it's going from above average heights in the North Atlantic back to Greenland, Iceland, and into the Arctic as well. That leaves this creamy coloured area just here that I think will be a trough of low pressure. If this was in the winter, then that would be blue coloured. But because it's a summer month, it's a summer anomaly, it's not that intense. However, that does look very suspiciously like a trough of low pressure underneath a northern blocking feature. So I'm afraid that looks pretty grim, actually, for August. That could lead to, we'll confirm it in a moment, but that could lead to quite a cool and unsettled August, I'm afraid, rounding off a disappointing summer 2023. Now this is September, so in September the northern blocking still reduces a little bit, but it's still there to some degree. We also have some higher pressure towards our south and southeast. Well, probably some lower pressure in the North Atlantic and going to the north of the UK and Ireland. I think this reverts us back more to a westerly flow. So pretty quite an average sort of September that, but could be a little bit on the mixed side. Again, actually might be relatively warm down in the south though, with that ridge sitting to our south and southeast. And then this is month number 3. This is October. So we have some high pressure events centred over the continent and potentially reaching back towards the UK and Ireland as well. I think out of the 3 months, this is probably the most settled, to be honest. And might be quite warm as well. That could be drawing the wind up from like a southerly, southeasterly direction. Quite difficult to interpret these charts sometimes, especially when they don't particularly well define the troughs of low pressure. But I reckon that's probably the most settled of the 3, actually, and would probably deliver a relatively dryish month. But August looks the most unsettled, and September somewhere in between. Well, let's go through the tropical and mid-latitude view and see how all of that shapes up. So we can't see the North Pole, Greenland, Iceland, Scandinavia, all those areas of the chart up here. However, as we had a look at the North Pole view down, we know roughly what the northern hemispheric pattern is. So we're back to August, month number 1. You can just make out the above average heights area of the North Atlantic, which will extend back towards Greenland and, into the Arctic as well. This white area, I thought that could actually be a trough of low pressure within the 500 millibar flow. Let's have a look at the temperature anomaly. So that's coming out around to ever so slightly above average, not a particularly warm month being indicated there. And we also see above average rainfall. So what looks suspiciously like a trough of low pressure probably is indeed a trough of low there, but we've got sitting across the north and west of Europe, producing, I would have thought, quite a cool and unsettled month. The mean wind direction which is the black arrows here, in from the northeast, actually. So it's always a little bit difficult to make these out, but it does look as though we bring northeasterlies into that trough of low pressure, especially in the northern half of the country. So I would have thought it's likely to lead actually to quite a cool month. So although the model is going for average to slightly above for the temperature, I would actually pull that back to average or slightly below. And with above average rainfall, that will bring an end to what will be a disappointing summer 2023. Now, this is September. In September, we get some higher pressure sitting to our south and over the continent as well. Some lower pressure is out in the Atlantic. It looks like we're probably bringing in like a west-southwesterly type flow in September. The temperature anomaly, again, it's average to ever so slightly above. The continent looks warmer though. Above average temperatures there in those yellow colours. Above average rainfall for the north and for the west. That's a little bit drier though down in the south and in the southeast. So September should have some drier spells, but it's not completely settled with more of an Atlantic driven type flow. And the mean wind direction in September looks like it's quite variable. Actually, but probably coming from more of a westerly direction, if anything there. And then finally we go through to October, which looks the most anticyclonic out of all of the months, really, although the high pressure is actually centred across central and eastern parts of Europe, but it looks like it's extending the reach out to the west of Europe as well, potentially. The temperature anomaly is, again, average to slightly above, so nothing overly exciting indicated there, and still going for slightly above average rainfall for the north, actually, which I'm a little bit surprised about. I would have thought out of the three, October is likely to be the driest of the 3 months. The mean wind direction in October seems to be coming in from like an easterly or a southeasterly direction. If we come over here, you can see like southeasterlies going in that direction and sort of easterly winds going in that direction as well. I reckon October could be quite pleasant and with quite a bit of dry weather, but August definitely looking like the worst of the 3. And of course that's month number 1, so that's the most reliable part of all of this, actually, and unfortunately after quite a poor July, it does look as though August could round off, as I say, quite a disappointing summer, and then perhaps gradually turning drier as we progress through September and into October. So that's how it's looking for this month. So when we look at the JMA briefing in Saturday's second summer autumn 2023 seasonal roundup, then you will know, how it breaks down on a month-by-month basis. Right then, okay, so we're done with that one. We're going to be back shortly with your 10 to 14 there. Make sure you check out 6 AM forecast and also the European Outlook. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And for the JMA seasonal update for this month, that's all now. And thanks so much.